Happy Wednesday, November 19th, 2025.
Good morning. How's it
6:30
going?
a.m., 7:30 a.m. Houston, 6:30 a.m. Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a hard start this morning. Instead of just clicking go live, I'm doing like a 7:30 start time, so it kicks it right to live, so we don't have to click all that fun stuff. So good morning, Jason. Happy, is it Wednesday? Wednesday the 19th,
That it is all day.
all day
Twice
long.
on Wednesday.
Yep,
That is
well,
today.
be all day long.
So
But
it's you and me, and then we've got Cody coming on from Glass Renew here shortly. And we are excited to have him on, and we are going to talk some
window
beautification.
restorations,
Yeah, some
beautification,
beautification of the glass.
translucency. Just get the translucentness. Cody Thomas has entered the chat. Let's let him in here.
All right. Sweet. All right.
Gonna take 1 minute to figure it out. We got to unmute, unbox,
Yeah,
unwrap.
no sweat.
Good morning.
Don't
We're live on Facebook. How's it going?
Going good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yep. Everything is
Awesome.
working.
Yeah, I was just trying to
we
figure out my AirPods, but they're not wanting to connect to my laptop for whatever reason. So there you go. We'll just go with computer speakers and mics.
there you go. If you can speak just a little louder than normal, that would be probably a little helpful. But other than that, we're pretty good. It's
Yeah,
nice
no,
to see you, by the way.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's nice to see you, by the way.
Oh yeah, good to see you guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. I'll give you a
Doing
proper
well.
introduction real quick.
Okay.
Again, two guys, welcome in. Cody from Glass Renew, founder, president, doing it all. What got you into? Actually, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's give you a proper introduction to Jason Gugulik, Mark Deeds Klodzinski, Cody Thomas here with us from Glass Renew. A lot of times we'll have guests on, and the audience and myself have had multiple conversations, or we know one another. But you and I, it's been brief interaction. Deeds and you, brief interaction at some of the conventions and whatnot. What is it that you do with Glass Renew?
Wow. So I've been doing Glass Renew. I started Glass Renew. We're actually getting ready to come up on our 20th anniversary here in 2026. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow.
But what we do on a day-to-day basis is we're problem solvers that are really here to help professionals, whether they're window cleaners or if they are pressure washers or any real contract cleaning company or building maintenance company. We exist to help them at their toughest moment, which is when glass gets damaged. And really, kind of my mission over the last 20 years has been to try to help take something that is the scariest thing that happens to a lot of professionals and turn it from a career ending opportunity to a career launching opportunity. And so that's kind of, I always joke that, I was a born problem solver in search of problems. And I think I've really built Glass Renew out of an effort to keep myself from going crazy and not having problems to solve.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's as kind of cheesy and, crazy as that sounds, really what I do is have conversations with people every day, trying to help them figure out an easy solution to a tough problem.
It doesn't
Yeah.
sound crazy at all. And if you haven't run into any issues in the window washing / power washing home service business, you haven't been in it long enough.
Exactly.
So you're still a rookie. If you haven't had any problems, consider yourself a rookie and almost a pro.
I jokingly say, or my kids say, that at least one of each of these gray hairs has been donated by someone dealing with with something that's a career ender. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I was waving. We're having some friends. I don't know if you're in the pro window cleaning forum too. We have friends, as I kind of texted you before. We have friends popping in and out throughout the morning. Grace popped in. Squeegee Tom is here. John Magdos is here. Cody Smith. Adam.
Morning, everybody.
Yeah, everybody's here hanging out, popping in. If you have any questions for Cody, pop them in the chat. Craig
Wow.
Hensel is here. I'm sure you know Craig and Grace. Most people do. But yeah, it's that's hilarious. And I kid, you know, I'm joking about the if you haven't had any issues, you're still a rookie. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm partially kidding about that, but we all know how it goes as business owners and or employees. Things happen, mistakes and or you know just accidents happen, right? So what made you decide that this is the route that you wanted to take, and were you a window cleaner prior?
So I was definitely, I'm sorry, I was just trying to see if,
So there we go. Oh, let me just make sure you guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
all right, I'm not sure which speaker.
No, those are working.
Anyway, what got me into this? My
Started Glass Renu. My background actually was in genetics and engineering. And I was working in aerospace defense. My brother was a builder, and he was just out of college working for a company on an 18-home development down in San Luis Obispo, California. And he had a stucco subcontractor that got stucco on every piece of glass on every one of the 18 homes. And my brother, this was one of his first jobs out of college as a superintendent. So he really didn't understand kind of the cadence of a job site and when certain activities happen. And so in a dispute with the stucco subcontractor over the fact that they literally got stucco on every piece of glass, the contractor ended up losing a bunch of day laborers with putty knives, who then went and scraped every single window to get the stucco off. And you can imagine what that did to the glass.
Boss, we got it.
Yeah, oh, it was horrible. Every piece of glass on 18 homes just chewed up and destroyed. Now, at the time that that happened, I was in between jobs. I had just finished a job working for an aerospace defense company, working on the Reaper and Predator drone platforms. And so I was couch surfing with my brother while I was looking for another job. And he came home from work that night. And if ever there was a guy who needed a couple of pitchers of beer, it was him. And so at the bar over drinks, he shared with me what had happened. And all I could think of is if we can make remote control airplanes the size of a school bus that a guy in Virginia can be flying in Afghanistan in real time, there's got to be a way to get scratches out of glass. We just got to put some gray matter on it. It helped that I had a roommate from college who was a materials engineer and at the time was working for NASA Ames on foldable mirrors. And ultimately, he helped with what became the James Webb telescope.
Neat.
But anyway, I called him up and I said, okay, your guy's name is Evan. I said, Evan, what would you do if I walked into your lab and dragged a rock across one of your mirrors? And he was like, well, first I'd murder you. But then I'd have to go through 6 months of honing that surface and getting everything perfect. And when I told him, I said, oh, okay. But now if I do plus or minus, 1/1000th of an inch, and he's like, oh, you're going to try this, do this, try that, whatever. So it was in that kind of crucible of trying to save my brother's butt. Now, mind you, again, this was back in 2006, right before the housing bubble burst. And kind of the writing was on the wall for everyone in the industry. We need to get these houses off of our balance sheet. So it took 2 weeks to restore all but one damaged piece of glass. We broke one sliding glass door, but we were able to fix the rest of it. By that point, my brother had already kind of fallen on his sword with his bosses when he picked up the phone and said, all right, send the marketing team, they're ready to go. His bosses couldn't believe it. He ended up getting a nice big bonus. That ended up being the seed money for Glass Renu. And I just remember him looking at me and saying, Cody, there's not a construction site on this planet that doesn't have damaged glass. The world needs these tools. And so that was in August of 2006. Fast forward to today, 20 years or almost 20 years later. We have distribution in 48 countries across 5 continents. I've worked with thousands of window cleaners on projects ranging from fabrication debris to 3,800 windows that got destroyed on a high rise. So that's kind of my background in all that and how I got involved. I met my first window cleaning event was in 2009. It was the IWCA event in Reno, Nevada. And I know Chris and Alex were there. Some of the original WCR guys were there. And I'm sure if you give them all a drink, they'll tell you how hilariously pedestrian our booth was. I think we actually glued discs to cardboard and think high school diorama.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I had never been to a trade show before. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'll bring an easel.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Outstanding. Awesome. Hey, can you do me a solid? Let's try and plug those buds back in because your voice is a little low and I want to make sure that everybody can hear you properly. When you have them in, can you hear us?
Let me see here. Let me switch.
You sound great now.
Yeah, the microphone aspect is your buds. Maybe not the audio.
Let's go AirPod Pro.
It sounds perfect, but you can't hear us?
I can't hear. Wait, hold on. Let's see if
testing 1 2 3.
Let's see, audio, AirPod Pro.
Yeah, you sound amazing on those things now.
Let's see here, select the speaker, AirPod Pro. All right, can you guys say something so I can hear?
Yes, testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Yeah, now we're perfect. Now we're perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, now we can definitely hear you a little better too. That's hilarious. 2009 was your first show?
Very first show.
Wow.
It was 2009 IWCA at the Silverton Resort and Casino in Reno, Nevada.
Outstanding.
And, oh yeah.
So you've been in it a long time. It's funny that you mentioned about the construction site. So when I first got into the business, I want to say 2009, 2010, I just moved into a new neighborhood. And about, I don't know, 3 streets down from my neighborhood, they had already completed a whole subdivision, about 350 houses, right? The manufacturer of the home builder screwed up on stucco everywhere, right? So they had to go and re-stucco 350 homes. While they were doing it, they weren't taking care of the glass at all. And this company—
They never do.
No, of course not. This company would see me walking through the neighborhood with my backpack, a carabiner connected to a bucket, and me passing out flyers to all the other houses that had already been done. And after about, a couple of weeks of the head guy seeing me walk through the neighborhood, I finally got up to the gumption to talk to him too and say, hey, my name's Jason. I live up the street. I'm starting a window cleaning business. I've been doing it a few years. I'd love to help you out. Well, they had house cleaners trying to clean stucco and whatever off the glass. So I wish I would have known about you 15 years ago or 20 years. You know what I mean? Like shit.
Oh, that's honestly one of the things that it's one of the most common phrases I hear is, oh, where were you 2 weeks ago? Where were you 2 years ago? Where were you? Because it really is just such a prevalent issue. But that's awesome. So you went door to door, you got the main builder, and then did they end up contracting?
They contracted us. Yeah. Nice. So we told them, hey, we're going to do all these houses. We did an exterior only. And I think it was $150 for every single story and $175 for every 2-story. And we were doing exteriors only. Didn't matter the amount of the panes of glass. Didn't matter the amount of anything. We're just like, fuck it, let's do it. And shout out to my man, Bill Sloan. Billy Sloan would go work in the mornings at his bullshit. He worked for some local commercial cleaning company. And then he'd be done anywhere between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. He'd drive from from downtown Phoenix all the way up to North Peoria, which is, 30, 45 minutes. And then he'd come and earn as much money with me in about an hour and a half as he would earn in, a 6-hour day with his employer. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And that's kind of like when we're like, all right, so if we got this contract, how do we continue to build? And at that time I'll be blunt. I was an alcoholic, straight up. Like my money it was coming in and going out as fast as it was coming in. I had one child at the time, but he didn't live at the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was
Mhm.
just cash, baby, straight cash. Like, you know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
and that's how a lot of people get into the business. And then they've realized that they've made over a certain amount of money and they continue to grow and whatnot. And it's wild, but yeah, window cleaning has treated me pretty well. We've become ingrained. I've tried to ingrain myself and love the community as much as I can, and then also try to learn as much as I can about the different aspects, whether it be restoration and renewal, or drone cleaning, or maintenance, or I want to be we did rope descent guys last week, so I'm trying to learn every aspect as I continue to progress in my career, and I'm really glad to have you on. If there was one thing that you could have changed about the development process, or I don't want to say like if you could turn back time, but like if you could do one thing different from the jump, what do you think it would have been?
That is an amazing question, and it's one that it's odd. I mean, very recently, I was having this exact discussion with my head of training, and with everything that we're kind of working on now. If I had to do it over, I wish I had embraced educating the market more, and being less concerned in the early days about protecting revenue streams. What I have
Hold
found,
on, hold on, hold on.
yeah,
What does that mean? Like
what that
protecting revenue
means,
streams?
protecting revenue streams. So many industries are based on this old thinking idea that I really believe is old thinking. Old thinking was, you go to school, you come up with an idea, you find something that's novel, something you can do better than anyone else, and you do that one thing, okay? And you gatekeep all of the secrets,
I
right?
got you.
All of the tricks. And it's very much built off of the old apprentice master,
I don't want to
with,
share.
yeah, exactly. If you want to understand this, you need to come work with me for 4 years and you will pick up stuff. And then when I trust you, I'll teach you. Or if you pay me, I'll teach you. And what I have exactly, wax on, wax off. But the thing that I've learned recently, and I'd say actually really post COVID, is that so many of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis that we think are, we need to protect or we don't want to share.
Yeah.
When we don't share the information, we lose out on everybody else's insights. And the reality is any problem solution is always in process, right?
Yeah.
You have to. So, I mean, doing deeds, you guys are going to see things different than Cody and Logan are every day. And so what ends up happening is we get trapped in these tunnels, and
Yeah.
we can't see the forest through the trees because we're so epically focused on today's issue.
Yeah.
And so when I would say about 2-3 years ago, we pivoted and I said, you know what, we're going to put everything on our website for free. Just put it up there. I want to tell everyone how to do everything. And what we found is that as soon as we did that, first of all, sales went up because people had a better understanding of how we could integrate into their business. And they had enough information now to see themselves doing it or see the opportunity. And I think that especially in industries like window cleaning or pressure washing or whatnot, there's kind of this feeling like we have to, someone's got to earn the right to be there. And it's funny, when I joined window cleaning, when I first got into like the window cleaning sphere, there were two camps. Okay. And I don't know if you guys will know this, if this is before your time or if you remembered or heard of any of this, but there was for lack of a better term, it was an email BBS. Okay. And that's thrown back for those of you guys who were from modem days, if you remember BBS. But essentially what it was there was a website where there were a bunch of email threads. And if you commented, it basically blind CC'd everyone who had ever been on that email thread. Right. And so I had like a dedicated email account that was getting anywhere from 200 to 1,000 emails a month, right, in terms of topics. So you had that group, and that was called windowcleaning.net. And then you had WCR, you had Window Cleaning Resource. And the really interesting bifurcation that I found, the difference between the two, was that windowcleaning.net everyone walked around with a chip on their shoulder. Everyone looked at the fact that Windex existed as a product was an insult to professional window cleaners, right?
Well, that still goes around.
Your mother wears army boots.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just very, that. And then you'd go meet Chris and Alex, and they'd be like, dude, window cleaning is the easiest thing in the world. If an idiot like me can do it, you can do it. Here's everything I did. Go try this, go try that. And this was back in the day when WCR, the store, was just beginning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is back in the day. So everything was about content and creating knowledge bases. And, Chris did a really good job of kind of identifying what are the key skill sets that, most people have, and what are the areas most people need help with. And it's been awesome kind of watching that. But that to me was that kind of bifurcation, right? You had the one group that was, we're not going to share anything with you till you've been with us for a certain amount of time. And we had the other group that was like, dude, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
I love that group, and I love that answer. And here's why. So when you're sharing information, you're getting the information back from the masses, right? And so, for example, we have some big hitters in the group chat right now. As I mentioned, Craig Hensel, Mark Tanner, some guys who've been around the business for a long frickin' time, right? These guys know what they're talking about. They're tested, tried, and true. And they're also the kind of guys who are going to test the boundaries, right? They're going to find out, hey, this product really works, or this product really doesn't, and or, hey, this might work a little better if you tried this. Am I correct?
Right. Absolutely.
And those two in specific, I'm guessing you know both of those guys?
Very, very well. Very well. Mark Tanner it's funny. I have a short list of people, and he's pretty close to the top of it, that are kind of they're the guys who are going to find the fly in the ointment, right?
The linchpin?
When I need someone to tell me where my thinking is weak, I go to Mark, and Mark usually can, in true Mark form, it's either usually a meme with some horribly inappropriate something that his response will be, or, or just like giving me the business. Yeah. But at the same time, he's very, very good at giving you the truth, whether you want it or not.
It's called spitting facts, baby. Spitting facts.
There you go. Spitting facts. But no, and the thing is, people, we all need to be challenged on how we think, and I think there's a lot of people who take, unfortunately, society has softened to a point where people take disagreement as antagonistic. And now that's also not to say in the window cleaning, if you take anything seriously on any window cleaning board or forum or group, you get what you deserve. I mean, the amount of poking and it's like siblings.
It's rough,
industry siblings, right? But at the same time, there's also a level of camaraderie amongst window cleaners that I think you don't find in a lot of other industries, which has actually been pretty awesome to be on the periphery of for the last 20 years, because you can see some really amazing people do some really amazing things. And I would say the most amazing things usually have nothing to do with cleaning dirt off windows. It has more to do with, these kinds of interactions and
the
ideas.
Community.
And exactly.
Dude, you're nailing it on all levels today.
Well, see, I knew Chris. Chris brought us together for a reason.
He did. And it's one of the great things you mentioned, Chris and Alex, too, about sharing and promoting and bringing people together. I think that sharing ideas, um, dialogue between multiple camps and multiple parties, that really is something that does help our industry grow as a whole. And that's kind of what Mark and I are here for, and that's what we're trying to do. And someone like yourself who's continuously showing how we as cleaners can grow and giving us other opportunities to increase our revenue stream if we so choose. We got to love and appreciate that, man. So, and
I see. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, you
Well,
hit it, Dee.
my biggest thing in Houston, I see a lot of hard water stains, calcium, high
Hmm.
sprinkler systems with a 400 parts per million, just blasting and cooking a lot of panes and stuff like that, to the point where I do a test spot and it's like, no, I can't do that. You're going to need restoration or a new window. And I know you've existed. I've just never, gone into the Glass Renew or down that rabbit hole. But I've been looking through your guide here that we got at the IWCA convention, and it's very
Oh yeah.
knowledgeable. So I want to thank you for putting that together and distributing that, because this is like F9 cookbook level awesomeness for the window cleaner. So not only does it help obviously show you a cookbook how to renew the glass, but it also tells you all the information you need to know about the panes of the glass, the sides, tempered. I mean, if you're a window cleaner, get yourself a copy of the Glass Renew book, because it's filled with information that's awesome. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And for those guys watching who want to know where they can get it, first of all, WCR has them, or they should still have some in stock.
Cool.
But you can also download it for free off both the IWCA website and off our website. So that
Cool.
handbook, if you didn't make it to IWCA last year, come this year, because we've got even more stuff we're releasing. But
Awesome.
all of that stuff is there. No, man, you hit the nail on the head. And I think, Mark, your experience is very similar to a lot of window cleaners out there, where there's kind of this idea that window cleaning is this and glass restoration is this. Okay. And really what one of the things we just released at Glass Build a week ago or 2 weeks ago in Florida was the new visual inspection standards and damage assessment,
Sure.
which is
6
a new,
foot rule.
yeah, it was 6 foot rule, but this now gives all the different geometries. And it also created, what we realized is we needed to create a universal language. And so what we've done is we've kind of created a spectrum, if you will, in terms of, you have category 0 glass, which means it needs to be cleaned, sturdy glass, but there's no damage, there's nothing stuck to it. Category 1 would be anytime you have the glass and something on it. So that could be hard water deposits, that could be paint over spray, that could be concrete, but it's something that's stuck to the top. Okay.
Got it.
Then you've got 2, 3, and 4, which are light, medium, and heavy in terms of depth going in.
Yeah.
And then we have category 5, which means you can't fix it, you got to replace it.
Okay.
So the big reason, and all this is coming out and stuff like that, we'll be coming out with more of it. But the big thing to say is, you're right. To you right now, restoration is encompasses predominantly hard water stains. And I think a lot of people, when we look at hard water stains, we kind of want to run to a solvent, right? I want something I can spray on it and wipe it away. The problem with that is that chemistry is not always that cut and dry. Some things will work a little, other things will work great, but then you have all the trade-offs, right? I'm going to be using this caustic acid, and now if I get it on the bushes or on the framework or on something else, I got a problem.
You created another problem.
Exactly. And so you're not problem solving, you're swapping, right?
Sure.
And so really what we're trying to do is, I want window cleaners to understand that whatever happens to the glass, as long as it isn't cracked, it can be restored to new. Okay.
Cool.
So then it just becomes a question of, is it financially worth it, or does it make more sense, or what's going on? Now, I'd say most of the time it's financially worth it. But I mean, it's trade-offs, right? And so in looking at hard water stains, I mean, that's one of the easiest ways to get started in restoration, because A, it's super prevalent. B, if you're catching it where it's not 20-year-old sprinkler spray every day for 20 years, it's generally the easier of the restoration to get into.
Nice.
But no, it's definitely. So you're down in Houston, you said?
Houston, yeah. I'm on the west side of Houston, the Katy area, and it's booming. I mean, kind of like Jason, where he's at, we've got a neighborhood. I mean, that's urban sprawl, we'll put it. And there's 1,000 homes in each neighborhood, and it just goes on for miles. So it's more like where you want to pick and choose to work type deal. But, you know, if I were to, yeah, learning how to restore water stained glass is kind of important, or something I want to try adding and maybe even honing and perfecting, because even just advertising just for hard water stain removal is like a business in itself. You know, even though it's, you know, a fifth or a fourth of what I'll be doing, it's just something that I'm thinking of getting into, because Houston is just, it's got a big market.
And I have to follow up on that one too. So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, Northwest Glendale, suburb of Phoenix, and our water is in the 300 to 400 levels. And some of these homes have been around, you know, 50, 60 years. There's a lot of stuff that is just built up, and restoring of hard water, that would be something that I would think would not only be eye catching, because it's, you know, you're doing another service that people haven't really seen. So I think they're willing and ready to, I don't want to sound like,
or they've tried it themselves with Barkeeper's Friend and like hard steel wool and tried to do it, and they're like, I think I made it worse. Yeah, I'd say so.
But when you show somebody
usually
something new, they want to tell their friends. You know what I mean? Oh, this guy came out to my house and he buffed it out and or whatever. And I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but that's why you're here. But I can see it being effective. Speaking of 50 or 60-year-old glass, though, we have our friend Squeegee Tom, who's up in Maine, New Hampshire, New England. You know, he's got 100-year-old antique glass. Is it safe to work on stuff like that?
Dude, that is a great question. So,
well, thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. So the big thing on historic glass is you first, we want to understand the composition. And as Mark showed you in the handbook, we start in the beginning of the handbook going through what is glass, how is it made. Pre-1954, the vast majority of glass was manufactured by casting, okay, or rolling. So what you would do is you'd go to an artisan, a glass blower, and you would give them the dimensions of the window glass that you needed. And they'd go over to their, they call it a glory hole. And they'd get a big scoop of molten glass. And then what they would do is they would put it on a table and they would run it through hand rollers, okay? And that would start the process of thinning that glob into a sheet. And so they'd run it back and forth through the rollers, and then they'd usually have like a frame that they would make to your dimensions, put it down and kind of force it to that size, let it cool, trim it, and then you'd get the glass. And because of that, what you would get is you'd get a high degree of variation in thickness. You'd get a lot of inclusions, so gas bubbles, little bits of dirt and stuff that would become encapsulated in the glass as it would go through. And so that's when you're looking at the historic homes and you look through the glass and it is just wavy. A lot of people say, oh, that's the old glass, has lead and it's settling. No, it's because the glass was made through a rolling and casting method. In 1954, though, that's when the Schott brothers over in the UK developed the process of float glass, okay? And the idea generally is that instead of taking the glass molten goo, and running it through the rollers, what they would do is they extrude it onto a bed of molten tin. And because the glass is less dense than the molten tin, it floats on the surface of that molten tin. Now, as it goes down along that bed, the tin cools, the glass cools, and even though it's still hot enough it'd burn your hand off if you touched it, it's now solidified. And what that allowed them to do is essentially make the glass self-level so that you have a uniform flat surface coming through. So when we're working on older glass, the big thing we got to look at is if you have areas that are thicker than thinner areas, they're going to retain heat longer. If you have areas, if you have surface modeling and we're coming in to flatten it, we have the opportunity to, remove high points and low points. So we are going to change the way that light transmits through the glass. What I usually will tell people with historic glass is we can polish it for sure and make it look much nicer. But
Shiny.
yeah, but if you want that historic look, it's going to have some scratches.
Yeah. And you can, how do I say this? You can relay that to the customer
Mm-hmm.
without like losing a sale. It's easy to do. They know that glass has been there for, however long. So it's one of those things you don't have to tiptoe around, but it's like, look, you can kind of let them know this is something that it's patina, baby. You know what I
It's
mean?
patina. I love it. I love it.
It's
You
patina.
mentioned temperature too, and that's an important thing
Mhm.
about when buffing glass. So you're saying like the antique glass, because it has thicker and lower, variations, would it be more apt to crack, or just to heat up faster and crack, or just more pucker factor?
Pucker
So
factor.
I'd say definitely more pucker factor. When you're looking at thermal limitations, it's never about an exact number. It's more about a range, because really what we're talking about, whenever you heat up any solid material, it's going to want to expand naturally, right? That's why when you want to seat a bearing on a shaft, you heat the bearing up and you freeze the shaft, and then you can slide it on. And when they normalize, it seizes on.
Sure.
So when you're heating up an area of glass, that area wants to expand. But because glass is such a horrible thermal insulator, it's a great thermal conductor, you're going to get heat dissipation at different rates. And so if I have a piece of the glass that, let's say, is a 1/4 inch thick, and I have a piece that, let's say, is 1/8 of an inch thick, that 1/4 inch thick piece is going to dissipate heat at a rate 50% as fast as the glass that is 1/8 inch, just because it has more mass. So if I'm working and I'm measuring this area where I've got 1/4 inch glass that I'm working on, but right over here I have an 1/8 inch size, now all of a sudden we have differences in how entropy is causing the heat to go out because of the thickness difference. And ultimately what can happen is you think you're in a safe range and then it cracks.
Sure.
So that's why with older glass or non-uniform glass, we normally like to say, start with a polish, see if you can live with that. But let's be very aware that if we go and get aggressive, there's a good chance that something could go wrong.
Yeah. So how long
We got a question. Where's the IWCA this year?
Yeah,
it's going to be in Orlando. It's going to be at the DoubleTree in
Orlando in February, right?
Yeah. What is it? I was just there. I was actually, it was funny. I stayed at the hotel for Glassfield when I was
18th, 19th, 20 or so.
Yeah, it's 18th,
Tuesday to Friday.
18th through the 20th. Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah. I was going to have Damien pop in because I know he knows the answer to that one.
There you go.
Do you know Damien, Cody? Have you had the opportunity to get a chance to meet him?
I'm pretty sure we've met, and
I think he and I were. I think you were also were you next to the Maker booth last year?
Yes.
Okay, so you did meet Damien. He's a buddy of ours, very much in the fabric of the community. He works with Maker, and like I said, very good buddy of the show.
Nice.
He's always dialed into that stuff. So I usually, whenever I can't get to the answers on the thing, he usually has that answer for us.
Awesome.
We'll put up a link for the tickets, Tom. We'll get them up there for you. How long did it take for you to consider yourself a pro at this? Like, you don't just go buff, or you don't just go restore 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces of glass and you're like, yeah, man, I got this shit on. How long did it take for you to realize, hey, man, I really know what I'm doing now? And how long did it take for you to become comfortable?
So that's another really great question. I would say that from day one, I had to have the confidence for the customer. Once I proved to myself unequivocally that I could remove any damage from it, and that took me a couple of months of like daily just figuring it out. But that was all pretty much before we sold a single kit. And once I got to the point where I had done it, then I knew there were going to be a million opportunities that I had never had. that were going to come, and I had the opportunity of how was I going to attack those opportunities. And so, you know, the scientist and the engineer in me came in and said, okay, as long as I have one method that always works, no matter what, I'm golden. And so that was the first thing we developed was I need the default. Can I get this to work on tempered, annealed, laminate, scratches, welding slag? Like, what can we take out? And I mean, we learned pretty quick that the security safety glass that has the chicken wire embedded in it will break 90% of the time if you do any restoration on it, right? So it was finding what are the limitations. So that kind of glass, I don't touch. If the glass has a bullet hole or a pellet hole, I'm not going to touch it. But once it took me, like I said, probably a couple months to figure out my default method. And then I would say it took probably 2 years of daily interactions with customers where I could feel that there was nothing that someone could ask. And even to this day, 20 years later, I'd say once or twice a month, I'll get a call from someone with some scenario, something that's different, that actually gets me where I have to go into the shop and like recreate it and double check it or try something new. But I think, you know, a big part in building this industry, and again, I think this goes back to what we were saying earlier. I wish I had pushed
sharing
more
information.
Yeah, sharing information, because I think I could have cut that down like that. You know, that first 2 years could have been a couple of months if I had, you know, brought more people. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20. You always look back and say that. So to anyone watching who has an idea that wants to launch a new product, whether it's within this industry or any other industry, I'm not going to say go give away if you have something that is truly novel and there is patent opportunities and all that. But I will tell you, I spent $500,000 defending our patent, that if I had taken that same money and put it into marketing at the time when I did this was back in like 2012, 2013, it would have launched our company to it's funny, and you talk to the really good business owners, and they're going to say marketing is the lifeblood of every business, right? And you look at Chris. What did Chris really do for the window cleaning world? He simplified EDDM. He came out with, and he said, if you take this postcard that I have designed and you send it to 10,000 homes, you're going to get 800 new clients. X back. You're going to get X back. And so Chris spent so much of the early days of WCR training the window cleaners how to get in front of customers and how to get a new booking, right? Mm-hmm. And I think if I had spent the money that I had put into legal defense and suing and all that kind of stuff, if I had put that just straight into marketing, Glass Renu would be, I'm not going to say a household name now, but we'd be 10 years ahead of where we are right now. And so I would say to you newer, younger guys, you risk more by not sharing than you do by sharing.
Risk versus reward.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing too is if you sit down, you sit down with anyone over a cup of coffee or a beer, and you talk to them long enough, they're going to give you $1 billion idea. Sure. Right? Everyone has one. The difference, my grandfather taught me at a young age. He said, Cody, the difference between them, and now at the time it was $1 million idea. Billion. He said, he said, Cody, the difference between $1 million idea and $1 million is only one thing, and that's execution. Right? The reality is a lot of people have really great ideas, but they don't know how to execute on them. And so my grandfather was always, he was one of the, he worked for Clorox in the 80s. And, you know, Delicious. He was one of the smartest guys, because every meeting he would go into, he would be the last person to talk. And it would force him, he could hear everybody's great idea at the table, figure out in his mind what would work and what wouldn't work before they could finish talking. And by the time they'd get to the end of the meeting, people would turn and say, well, Cal, we haven't heard from you. What do you think? And it put him in this position where he could take all of the Harvard MBA ideas, all of the Yale and Wharton School MBA ideas, plus what he knew as a stock boy who worked his way up, And he always came across as sounding like the most intelligent man in the room. And so, that strategy from a young age, I was always kind of like, all right, people want to share their ideas. People want their ideas to become a reality, but most people don't know how to. So if you can figure that out, you'll be immensely valuable to everyone from this point forward.
Nice.
Did you like that answer, buddy?
That's a good, thorough answer. I've got a product in mind.
Yeah,
I've
I was like,
been working
damn,
with for like
I hope
2 or
you're
3
really
years.
listening to this, Mark.
I'm listening. I'm hearing you because I've got a product in mind that can change or help the average window cleaner or pressure washer increase their business, et cetera, have confidence. I just need to, I don't want to say patent the damn thing, but get it into fruition and get that ball rolling because I think it could be a game changer and be kind of successful and then copied by others.
Let me ask you this: have you built a prototype?
Yes.
Okay. How's how many iterations of the prototype are you on? Have you gone through?
3 or 4-ish. I still need to tighten it
right.
up a little bit, but conceptually it's there. It's solid. But the final prototype is what I've got to patent. So since I'm almost there, I can't really follow through or go through with it. I'm kind of scared to because if I do it, then there's thousands of dollars in inventory. I got to find a product buyer, a product seller. Not that WCR wouldn't. I think I know somebody in the business, but it's more of a implementation and just really getting the confidence to jump in with 2 feet because I know it would be pretty hot.
So let me say this: do you think that one idea that you had is unique? And
Yes.
not what I mean by unique. Let me change that. Mark, do you think this is the only idea you're ever going to come up with? And that's what I mean by unique.
No, it's not the only idea.
Okay.
No.
Then what I would seriously consider is go to some trusted people, show them the idea, and really look at it to say, okay, if this product, let's say you patent it, and let's say you
Sure.
spend 20 grand patenting it, and you've got this thing. Okay. 20 grand is easy to make. You're going to be able to make 20 grand with any idea. You put it on Instagram and you're going to get enough fat fingers that are going to buy it just because you're on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is looking at it and saying, okay, is the technology that you're doing, okay, is that the final gate, right? Once this gets to the market, we've now changed the industry so much that there will never need to be another thing in this aspect because you've finished it. And I'm going to not wait for your answer. I'm going to burst your bubble. No, it's not. There will be another cool idea there. So I'm not trying to dissuade you from patenting at all,
Sure.
but I am going to say that
it's easily replicated, so I might not want to patent. I might just want to go full bore and let other people copy. I'll be the original.
Exactly, and be the original.
The OG.
The OG, but here's the thing: you can only create value 3 ways, right? You're either faster, you're either better quality, or you're cheaper. All right.
Sure.
And general rule of thumb is you maximize 2 to the cost or expense of the third. And what I'm saying is that if you focus on quality and speed, forget about price. Okay. Because at the end of the day, dude, there's always going to be a MacGyver who's going to go to Depot and try to copy every idea. All right.
Sure.
Trust me. You should hear the things that people call me up with, and they're like, oh, I bought this abrasive and I tried this. And I'm like, why would you? Anyway, the whole point is getting out now and figuring out it's not so much the value of this idea, but what is this idea going to create the opportunity for on the next idea that can't. Great example. And I'll throw
what's it going to spawn?
Here's $1 million idea right now, and I hope that the guys over at Zero take care of it. And I've been talking about this since Reno in 2009, sitting with Bill LeBade. God, I haven't said Bill's name in a while. Anyway, why has no one figured out how to do a steam generator for a brush or on the brush of a water-fed pole?
Steam?
Because if you had the ability to have a blast of steam on a trigger that could go through a bronze wool pad, what would that do from a post-construction cleanup with water-fed pole? What would that do when you've got residue or something that if you could just hit a button, you've already got pure water going up there. They make, 6-ounce, 7-ounce steam generators that are instant steam generators. I'm sure there are other issues, or maybe you create it on the ground. But the whole idea, what I'm getting at is you have pure water cleaning, right? And everyone looks at that, and there's a huge opportunity for that to be very valuable for window cleaners from a productivity standpoint. How can we, what is it that's adding to that? How can we do that? So going back to your idea, not knowing anything about it, not even needing to know anything about it, more so looking at it and saying, as the inventor, what are the opportunities that your product are going to present for further improvement to the market? And it's understanding that. And if you, where I would prioritize my patent dollars are on more of the universal developments. Okay. So like pure water cleaning, that's a great idea, right? But now, are we talking RODI? Are we talking just mixed bed DI? Are we talking about, you know, doing it on a carbon fiber pole that's 65 feet in the air? Or are we talking about doing it with a handheld unit when I'm doing storefront? Within one technology, you have so many different applications. And so it's kind of going back and saying, I'd be more interested in talking about the valve that allows it, you know, that pull, I forget what.
Univalve.
Yeah. Or I'd be looking at, you know, the geometry of the nozzles on the brush, or if there was something like that. Trying to get everything, what ends up happening is you spend all this money and then you've now cut off everyone else from developing new ideas and co-developing that are going to make your idea better. So lead with your idea, sell your idea, get your idea big and loud, okay, for the first one. And understand that the better that the first one does, the more people will be interested in helping, working, and investing in your second. And how that does is going to lead you to the third, because the reality is problem solvers, what happens? We solve a problem and then we move on to the next problem. Or sometimes we solve a problem and that uncovers problems we didn't even realize we have. So I kind of live my life with two rules. And I run the company this way too. And I always tell everyone, I said, the only stupid questions are the ones you don't ask. Okay. And no one wants to look like an idiot, but the reality is 9 times out of 10, 3 other people in the conversation don't know the answer and are just too afraid to ask. So ask the questions.
A lot of us take our ideas to our grave, and that's the problem, is that we have all these ideas, solutions, inventions, and then people pass, and you know, it's a strange outlook.
The other thing, the other part of it is the only problems we can't solve are the ones we don't know about. And so the easiest way, like I said, when I need to find a problem, I call Mark Tanner. And actually, I don't call him, I DM him on Facebook. And I say, hey, I'm going to send something over to you. Will you rip it apart for me? And I get a thumbs up back, you know, type kind of thing. So,
you know what's hilarious? Go ahead, Deeds.
Well, on a side question, seeing that you worked on the Reaper project back in the early 2000s, what are your professional opinion on what was going on over New Jersey and Philadelphia, or you know, that area last year? Was that domestic? Was it an aerospace company tooling around?
I think it was a combination of a couple of things. I wouldn't be shocked if it started out with some people just screwing around with drones, and then that created a perfect opportunity to do a cover, or a perfect cover for, let's see what we can do. One of the defense, one of the DARPA contractors. I mean, if you look at where the drone technology and robotics technology is really kind of focused right now, you've got the Tesla labs, but then you really Boston Dynamics and everything that's happening in Cambridge and throughout Massachusetts and
Boston Dynamics. They scare me more than the Tesla robot for whatever reason.
Dude, because that yellow dog with a saw.
Can't
do
that.
Of it. Oh God, get ready.
But the scary thing about Tesla though is they're going to be AI smart. I mean, if they're saying they can create surgery on somebody like with delicate handwork, tell me they can chase you down and make you pay your water bill.
Here, and this is something that we all need to be talking about, because these cloud-based robots that are AI run. So if I take an Optimus robot and buy one for 20 grand for Glass Renu, and I bring it in and I train it to remove scratches from glass. Well, now anyone anywhere on the world with their Optimus, they can download, or I can upload all the knowledge to any one of them, right? Now, what is that going to do for window cleaning? What is that going to do? Now, the thing that has kept this from happening
Opposable
is that
thumbs?
right there, opposable thumbs. But now that Optimus and they're working, the better that their hands get in manipulating things and doing things with different levels of pressure, that's when we're going to see the game change. So you're right, but that scares me, but on a whole different level. The dogs with the machine guns scare me because I can't outrun that.
Nope.
The Optimus robots with opposable thumbs that are learning, they scare me. It's not so much scare me, but they intrigue me because it's going to, that is a technology that is now going to fundamentally change our existence. So,
yeah,
you know.
I want to ask something real quick. So going back to the question about how long did it take for you to feel super comfortable and ready to go? I don't know if you're in pro window cleaning group, right? Okay, so over the summer, I took this trip down the coast and I stopped at different cities and different places. And I was fortunate enough to spend a little time over at Mike Nichols' crib, right? And he's one of the brightest guys that I know in this industry, and somebody that I lean on for when I want to get information, right? And while I'm there, I'm watching him go to town on glass, and he's doing restoration. And it's funny because we talk about Mark Tanner, who's still, I think, in the room. As he's doing the process, he's taking pictures and videoing it and sending it to Mark and getting the, so I'm watching him get his feedback from Mark, and I'm watching somebody whom is a mentor of mine go through the process of trying to get comfortable with glass restoration. And I know he's probably going to be quicker than most of us because Mike's a G and he's been at it forever. But what separates your product from other products out there that might make it easier, more cost effective, and or make it to where you get your return faster? Is there something that separates your product from the rest?
There are a couple of things, and the very first thing that I think is the most important is the fact that to totally steal a line from Kurt Kempton, the responsibility guy. I don't know if you know Kurt, great guy. If you haven't met him, you got to meet him. Milkshake aficionado like nobody's business.
Love it.
We're a customer service company that just happens to make scratch removal. What you will find, and I pride myself on this, is if you took 10 Glass Renu users and put them in a room and you said, okay, what is the one thing, if you were going to tell me about Glass Renu that would, that I need to know if I want to do business with them, the number one thing they're going to say is when you pick up the phone and you call, you're always going to get someone on the other side of the phone who's going to walk you through whatever it is. So,
nice.
No different than Mike needed to call Mark and he's taking videos and that. I spend most of my day along with everyone in the shop there to answer those kinds of questions. And that's why we try to put out books and stuff like that to answer it before you get to that point. But at the end of the day, when you're standing looking at a piece of glass after you've gone and ground the damage out, and now you're looking at the haze and you're like, I got to get this back to perfect.
Yeah.
Those first couple of times can be nerve-wracking. And it's important that everyone know that if they pick up the phone, Glass Renu is going to help them get through it. So that's number one.
Nice.
In terms of what about our products and whatnot makes it easier, I think the easiest way to understand is to just say, okay, the Glass Renu method, what we're doing is when you look at every piece of glass is chemically unique, right? They all basically fall within a certain spectrum, but every piece of glass has slightly different chemical structure. Every piece of damage, whether you're talking hard water stain or you're talking a scratch or you're talking about pitting or you're talking about welding slag or whatever, every piece of damage is different, okay?
Yeah.
And the problem is as a professional, when you're going in and you're trying to solve this problem, you need a standard solution that's going to give the same results every single time. So the best way to think about what Glass Renu and our products are designed to do is the first thing we do is we standardize the damage. Okay, so we're going to put 1 billion identical scratches in to remove that one irregular scratch. Okay, And by standardizing the damage, if we can get the damage to always be the same by the time we're done grinding, then we can have a universal solution that will solve every single panel. So instead of trying to find one standard solution that fits all damage, we turn all damage into one damage so we can have a universal solution for that. If you can wrap your head around that idea, then it's really no different than how you would treat a piece of wood. Our tools, our abrasives, and our polish have been designed so that they will work first time, every time. Are there other abrasives that'll work? Yeah, absolutely. Are there other polishing compounds that can work? Absolutely. So the question then comes down to, what is the value of your time? If your time, but it's also the value of your passion, right? There are guys like Mark Tanner got into glass restoration because he's a fabricator. He's a tinkerer. He is someone who, if you tell him it can't be done, he's going to, out of spite, figure it out ways that it can. Exactly. And so for people like that, the concept of going and buying an off-the-shelf solution for anything is never really something that they're going to want to do. What we're looking at is, I want to make it easy enough so that when someone sees the opportunity, or when somebody is put in a position where now they are financially liable for something, okay, I want to have a go-to solution that I can walk them through on the phone, that they're going to be able to get results that the customer is going to be happy with, and that is ultimately going to pull their feet from the fire. If we can achieve that goal, that's step one, right? And that's my number one. I'm a firm believer that if anyone gets into restoration and wants to make it part of their business, they will ultimately end up as a Glass Renu customer, because I've done it time and time and time and time again. So it's not an issue of me like trying to, I don't want to convince someone that my tools are better than someone else's. I can, and I will. I'm more interested in convincing them that they're a window cleaner, which means they are already doing glass restoration. And all I want to do is expand the spectrum that they can deal with. And when you make that mindset and you realize as a window cleaner that you're already in restoration, you're just dealing in this end of the pool, now all of a sudden opportunity explodes.
Category 1 to category 5, kind of like you mentioned earlier. One of the terms you used earlier is passion, right? And I don't know if you're following in the feed or not, but Mark Tanner says, about Mike Nichols. He's like, Mike has the passion, which is one of the most important ingredients. Too many of us get frustrated and quit. It takes a lot of practice and time. And I'll tell you, as somebody who's, I'm a child of the 70s, grew up in the 80s. I'm a microwave generation kid. A lot of times if something takes a little too long and or requires a little more effort, you know what I mean? Sometimes I don't follow through. It is easy to get disappointed and disgruntled. But I guess what Mark is reiterating is a little patience, a little practice, a little time, a little maybe communicating with others and sharing, problem solving is all it really takes. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. Am I right?
Very much so. Very much so. You, as a child of the 80s, you probably grew up and you had shop class at some point.
I made ashtrays for my dad.
There you go. Now, I want you to remember the very first jewelry box you made. And
I made one of those too.
Okay. And then, and how your joints looked and how your cut lines looked and all that. Now go to the end of wood shop, your last project you worked on, and compare and contrast. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who, like you said, they get into something, they're excited about it, right? And then when it gets difficult, it's the passion that's going to push you through. And it doesn't necessarily need to be that you're passionate about glass restoration, but it's that you're passionate about delivering quality. I think when people can make that switch, if that becomes your passion, that you want to make sure that everything that you leave behind is the best representation of what you can do, you'll never worry about getting work. Okay. Your work will bring people to you. All right. Nobody wants to be sold, but everybody wants to buy. And what they want to buy is they want to buy your passion. When you can get excited about something, that gets them excited. And it's the same. And I'm a firm believer in, the universe is a reflection to you of what you put out. If you're stoked on life and you are passionate, you're going to attract passionate people. And if you've never, I mean, Dave Carroll is the guy you guys should have on the show. I don't know if you guys have ever talked to Dave Carroll, but
He's
if you
dope.
want to, oh, he is dope.
Deej, you know, I'm not familiar with him, but
Yeah.
if you guys are both telling me, I'm going to do some research when I get off this call.
No, so I'll let Dave save his story for when you guys have him on and you need to. But I will tell you, when you listen to Dave Carroll's story, and I started with WCR right about the time he started with Lion Share Maintenance. So I have been very lucky to have developed my business and run my business over the last 20 years and watch what he's created. And I will tell you guys, if you ever have the chance to have a conversation with Dave Carroll, you will leave with a smile ear to ear. Okay, whether it's on the show or at a show or whatever. He's probably one of the most passionate people I've ever met and one of the most grateful people I've ever met. And he's also one of the greatest examples to show the world, if you go through life with a positive mindset and a can-do passion, the world is going to come to they'll come to you. So
Law of attraction.
Absolutely.
Hey, so this is a couple things.
Yeah.
Who's on the other side of that hat? Everybody wants to know what team you're repping.
Lions.
You rep. Ah, okay. You just wrecked my Cardinals, man. There's your answer, Chuck D. So we got a bunch of football fans on here.
Yeah. This was the one of the Super Bowl hats, but
Nice.
it's so funny. I grew up in the Bay Area in the '80s, so with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, like that, and then going from Montana into Steve Young, and then I married a 49er fanatic.
Nice.
And my wife, it's hilarious. All of my friends say that she was wasted on me, given her love of football. And they'll come over for the game. They talking with her. They look over across the room, disappointedly shaking their head at me.
That sounds like, so my wife is a diehard football fan. I met her at a sports bar. She's a diehard ASU Sun Devil football fan. Cardinals fan, and one way that we spend time and enjoy time together is on Saturdays and Sundays, just watching football, man.
Totally.
And I think it's an awesome thing that we can share with our loved ones, man. I think it's a great sport, and it's a great, I love the idea of bringing people together. And it's kind of like what you just mentioned about being positive, sharing an outlook. And Deeds mentioned the term law of attraction. Like, if you give, the more you give, and the more positivity that you bring, the better our world becomes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's, I was texting you earlier, and where are you located right now?
Sacramento, California.
Okay, so you're
California.
it's 6:30 a.m., right?
Yep.
Okay, so you were kind enough to join us at 5:30 in the morning, my man. And
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Dedication.
And one of the great things about this show too, that in my opinion, is we want to provide people with information, humor, whatever it is that we can do to send them on their way into their day in a good mood, right? So that they can take that energy, bring it to their clients, put their clients in a good mood, and then it's contagious, right?
Yep.
So
Positivity.
Yes.
Keep it true.
And so that's what we're trying to do with this show. And you completely brought it today, Cody. Like, you blew the dust off this bitch. So I completely commend you. All your answers are outstanding. If there's one thing, not a do or don't, or a you should do this or you shouldn't do that, but if there's one, how do I put this term? One uncommon or one myth about glass restoration that you would like to debunk, what would it be?
Ooh, a myth that I would like to debunk about restoration. I guess the myth that I would debunk.
Or are there any? I mean, like.
No, I mean, so the big myths, the ones that drive me the most nuts are that it's impossible, or that you can't get distortion-free results, or that there's some damage that cannot be removed. And I guess the myth the part of that drives me nuts is there's enough in this world that puts limitations on us on a day-to-day basis of why things can't work.
Yeah.
And I think it's not so much a myth, but it's an idea. It's like a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, and the mindset that I would love to help break apart is the idea that glass is never really going to be damaged, because it is going to. The simple, irrefutable fact about every piece of glass is that at some point in its life cycle, it's going to have surface damage. Okay. And it could be 2 minutes after it's manufactured. It could be 20 years after it's been installed. Something at some point is going to happen. And I think, you know, a lot of people are afraid to jump in because what we are doing flies in the face of it. I mean, we're told from a young age, 2 hands on your cup, right?
Yeah.
We treat glass, you know, if you're throwing the baseball, throw it away from the house, right? You know, all the things. It's our grandmother's bone china. The reality is since the Schott brothers invented the float process, glass is more akin to plywood than it is your grandmother's bone china. You have to understand the rules on how to work with it. But once you understand them, you can bend it, you can drill
Manipulate.
it, you can do whatever you need to do to fabricate it, including grinding and polishing, sanding and polishing. Okay. And so if you approach it from that mentality, then it's just about figuring out, okay, well, what is the first step, second step, third step? And I would say in general, problem solving, as dumb as this sounds, and I don't know, there are a couple of people I could give credit to. I know Bezos has said it and whatnot. Other people have said it, but it's the truest thing. The hardest part about solving any problem is defining the problem. If you can write down the problem clearly and articulately in a single sentence, okay, you've done 50% of the job of solving it. The rest then is breaking it down into chunks that you can, you know, and understanding what can I affect and what can't I affect. So does that answer? Probably not the cleanest answer.
No, it
but,
does.
You
it
know,
does.
Yeah. I would say window cleaners need to stop looking at scratched glass as a liability and a concern and start looking at it as an opportunity to supercharge your business.
There you go. Add it to your business model. Do you want to, are there packages that people can purchase at different rates? Do you want to explain any of those real quick?
What I would say is this, for window cleaning, wherever you want to get into restoration, you're already in restoration.
Yeah.
You know, to jump in to say, we're going to go from never doing anything to welding slag removal on post-construction cleanup. That's like saying, I've never driven a car, but I'm really hoping for a good showing at the Daytona 500 this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, there is a ramp up, so to speak. But what I would say is this, find an opportunity. You guys are today, all of you watching the show, you're going to go out and you're going to be touching customers' glass. Start looking at the glass. Look for opportunities to bring more value to your customer. They may know they have hard water, they may not. Show me a house that has a dog. I'm going to show you 2 sliding glass doors that have surface scratches from the knee down. Okay, If they've got hard water on their sliding glass door, guess what? They got it on their shower enclosure as well. So the opportunity abounds, and that's just residential. Get into commercial, and now you've got everything from graffiti to, you know, signage scratches and razor blade damage. So again, it's look for the opportunities to add value to your customer. Okay, don't leave any money on the surface of the glass. And then with regards to the tools, we have a whole host of tools, and whether you want to buy one of the pre-made kits, we have our professional grade kits, which are great for window cleaners just starting out, all the way up through our contractor kit and, you know, the crazy ones for guys that want to do nothing but graffiti and stuff like that. All of them are at WCR. Go onto the WCR website, look around, go to our website. We have every type of damage that can happen to glass listed with step-by-step instructions, as well as what tools you need. So when you're looking at it, let's go through, give us a call. We'll talk about what you're hoping to do, and then we'll find the right solution for you. And we'll get you started.
Awesome.
You absolutely crushed today. Website you want to throw out there?
I'm going to give about 2. The first is www.glassrenu.com. Okay. And the second is, of course, windowcleaner.com, the boys at WCR.
Yep.
Honestly, guys, I don't know that the industry truly appreciates what we have as an industry. I mean, I work in glass manufacturing. I work in automotive manufacturing. I work in aerospace engineering. We deal with companies from Boeing all the way down to Otis Elevator, okay, and everything in between. And I will say, what the boys over at WCR have built for this industry is one of a kind. There are infinite number of other industries that will never have the resource that we all have, whether it's between WCR or Pro Window Cleaning Group, the forum, all of that stuff. And more importantly than that, look at what that forum and what that has created with this show, with Squeegee Life, with WCR Nation. Look at what we've done with the WCRA, for those of you who were back in the day, to the PWRNA, to the Huge now, and with all of the different things that the WCR has done to help facilitate these types of conversations. Next time anyone who's watching this, next time you're on the phone with Jersey or any of the team up there, give them the business, and but definitely say thanks, because it's pretty awesome that we have these kinds of opportunities.
You just nailed it on the head. And one of the other things we're gonna wrap up right now. One of the other things that I've found as I've continued to grow in this industry is look for men and women that you would like to team up with and or work with and learn from. Like, all you're going to do is better yourself. Quit trying to hide your ideas. You mentioned it. Quit trying to, or we become better when we unite with others.
Yeah,
yes,
share your
Steve.
ideas.
Yeah, share your ideas. I don't know if you've caught any of our other shows, Cody, or not, but one of the things that we like to do at the end of the show is kind of give shout outs or thanks to people, organizations, forums, whatever. You kind of mentioned a couple earlier. Is there a couple people, maybe somebody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I mean, we've hit all of the big ones. I would say I'd love to first and foremost give a shout out to every window cleaner who is taking the time to better their business and better themselves by watching shows like this and by involving themselves in the industry. Obviously, Chris and Alex, Jersey, the OG Cool Kid Club, so to speak. But then, that it also goes to guys that, I mean, we could talk about guys like George Aguilar, I mean, there's a guy who has given more of himself to this industry in terms of safety and rope access training. You got Jeff Green. You've got, I mean, I could sit here and tell you amazing stories about everyone in this industry. And so what I'll say is, to all the guys that I've already called out by name, thank you for everything that you guys do every day. For those who I haven't called out, it's not because you're not doing awesome. It's just there are too many to name.
The list is too long.
The list is too long. But I'm still now we'll throw back. I mean, we got to give a shout out to Shecky. And now that will determine people watching this. There will be some people who just rolled their eyes and went, "Are you kidding?" And then most of people are going to go, "I have no idea what that is." So
I'm sure Craig knows what's popping, and I know Mark knows what's going on.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. But no, I guess the last thing I'd like to say is thanks to you guys, man. Thanks for putting this show on and dragging my butt out of bed. And this is how we get better as an industry. You're
100% right. And you know what? Weren't you just at a convention last week that we didn't even get an opportunity to talk about?
Yeah, I was just at Glass Build last week down in Florida. So that's the big show for all of the fabricators, window and door manufacturers, and glazers. And so that was a real good show. We had a real good showing there. And actually, interestingly enough, one of the new potential clients is a company called Glass Cages. They're one of the largest, if not the largest, custom aquarium manufacturer. So
Cool.
You know, I mean, that's the crazy part about this is like some days I'm working on Boeing 737s and the next day I'm working on a, you know, saltwater tank in Houston. You never know what's going to happen.
You're absolutely right. Mark Tanner just says, Cody, you know, rock star, straight rock star. You crushed. Deeds,
Yep.
anybody you want to give a shout out to? What
No,
happened to
just
you,
thanks
Deeds?
for everybody for watching this morning. Thank you, Cody, for all your. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep.
Testing. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you for putting out this book. This book is awesome. So if anybody can get their hands on it or download it, Glass Renew Guide. It's got all the information in the first couple chapters, just all about glass. So thank you for putting that together. That's super informative. Thanks for WCR Zero. Thanks for everything you do for our industry, like you were saying. And thanks, Jason, for co-hosting. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Hey, and you know what? Chris and Alex, Cody mentioned it earlier. Two rock stars, two
And it
like
froze.
just yeah, you're good. Two genuinely great. I can't even say good. Two genuinely great men who really care about this industry and care about each and every one of us. Cody, thank you for joining us this morning. It has been amazing. Also, I think you're the only other person who's joined us at 5:30 in the morning. Usually that was our
It's
start
early.
time for me. But after daylight savings time changed and everybody else changed, I think you're the earliest guest. So thank you for that one. Mark Tanner, thank you for joining us as well. I really was hoping that you'd be in here today so that way you could ask any questions or have any input as well. Thanks to all of our guests for joining us each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to make this show what it is, for your input, for your guidance, for your questions, to all of our great guests. Yeah, man, we're just blessed to be here and just super excited that you came on and answered all of our questions, Cody. Thanks for crushing it. And do me a solid. What was the guy's name again that we need to look up and get on the show?
Oh, Dave Carroll, and I'll shoot him a text after this as well. Chris can get a hold of him, but no, Dave Carroll with Dope Marketing is he is passion in a bottle.
Sweet.
Yeah, just really one of the most genuinely awesome dudes I've gotten to know. But you know, that's kind of par for the course in the window cleaning industry.
I keep
think our
meeting
industry,
more and more wonderful men and women just like it.
wow,
And you know,
absolutely.
Steve Williams is coming on Friday. Are you buddies with Steve?
I am. Steve and the solar cleaning, man. I'll tell you, I got started with him a few years ago when we were trying to bring solar cleaning to the IWCA attention and get that. And there's another passionate guy. He's probably one of the craziest Brits I've ever met, and I've met a few. But no, another genuinely amazing guy who puts the safety of the industry ahead of everything else. And I think, you know, we are all very lucky that there are people like him and all of us in this industry. It's all of us that make it what it is. And I'm proud to be part of it.
Hell yeah. Well, if you're up early
Yeah.
again on Friday, pop in, say what's up to Steve, razz him, give him the business, ask him some questions that you think he's not going to be able to answer. We appreciate your time, Cody. I hope you have a blessed day. And thanks, man. We really appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the flip side, brother. Hey,
Sounds like a
hope your
plan.
passion
Thank you.
bucket's full. And Deeds, what do you always tell them?
Change your rubbers, everybody.
Take care,
Change your
guys.
rubbers.
Change your
Change 'em.
rubbers. Thanks again,
Bye, guys.
Cody. I hope you have a
All
great
right,
day.
bye guys.